Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Unspoken Heart Discussion Hour. This is your host, Spicy Gray, and we have a special treat for you. As you know, this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and throughout the month, we will be having special guests on to discuss domestic violence. Today, we have one phenomenal woman. So before we bring her in, we're going to go ahead and do the announcements. As y'all know already, we have the baby diaper and bottle drive going on for donations. That box is really getting full. I truly thank the ones in advance for donating so quickly. It'll be going on all the way to October the 29th before I could deliver it over to the Battered Women and Children's Shelter. What we're asking, what they're highly in need of, is baby Pampers, any brands, any amount, any size. Also, baby wipes. The same applies. We need brand new baby bottles and also baby bottle brushes cleaners. So if y'all can contact me at the Unspoken Heart 70 at AOL.com or just inbox me on here if you want to donate. Thank y'all ahead of time for y'all love and your support. Now we will get on with the show. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men have experienced some form of physical violence by an intimate partner. During COVID-19 pandemic, the percentage of domestic violence has battered shelters overcrowding with victims of abuse and their children. The San Antonio Police Department noted an 18% increase in calls pertaining to domestic violence since March 2020 compared to March of 2019. The stay-at-home orders have created the worst-case scenario for individuals suffering from domestic violence. Media outlets should be utilized to raise awareness and reach a wider audience to provide support. Overall, healthcare providers, please do not lose sight of the increased potential for violence while fighting this global pandemic, since you may be the first point of contact for the survivors. Thank y'all so much. And as y'all see, I got my purple ribbon on already, supporting that power right there. Now we're going to go on to bring in our phenomenal guest. Born in Lawton, Oklahoma, raised in Hanau, Germany, residing in Houston, Texas. She graduated Bradwell Institute in Hinesville, Georgia in 93. Obtained bachelor's degree and high honored associate's degree in business administration and child development from Tarleton State University. She completed her master's in adult education at the University of Phoenix, PhD in Christian education from Northwest Theological Seminary School. Nearly completed her education doctrines. Famous quote, "This is power and perseverance through painful persecution." Well-known preacher, teacher, prophet, praise worship leader throughout Texas. I now introduce to y'all Dr. Jennifer Gilbert. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello. Hi.
How we doing? How we doing
I
this
love it.
morning? Man, I'm telling
Oh,
you,
busy, but I'm here.
I hear you. This is a busy, busy month for a lot of people.
Yes.
Now, you have a famous
Yes.
quote that I just said. It is there is power
Mhm.
in preservation through painful persecution. Could you explain that and how you came up with that?
There is a power in the perseverance. Basically, anytime that you're in the midst of a storm, you always feel like you can't get out. But what I have learned over time is that at the end of the day, there's so much more power to you that you've tapped into that you really didn't even realize. But it has to come. The Bible says, after you've suffered a while, he'll strengthen you and establish you and make you perfect. And if we can just hold on during those times, then we realize that there is a power that we didn't never tap into until after the storm is over.
Thank you. Beautiful, beautiful. You transform wounds and scars into a powerful weapon to demolish domestic violence in your life. What tools did you
Mhm.
use through the process of healing and gaining strength to become the free woman you are today?
The tools that I used honestly was a lot of prayer. And I know that sounds very cliche, but I was called to preach at 7. I started preaching when I was 9. But even though I was in ministry very early in life,
Mhm.
life had to happen for me to gain the tools to realize that I had all of the tools that I need for me to get to where I needed or where God wanted me to be in life. And so the tools that I used really was like a lot of prayer. I held myself accountable. I watched who I surrounded myself with. My circle is so very small because I believe in, not only me holding people accountable, but I want to be around people who is also going to hold me accountable.
Right.
And that's hard to
Mm,
find somebody who, no matter how big your name is, no matter how grand scale your name or your reputation, your brand is, that they still don't have a problem saying, yo, girl, that was wrong. You didn't do that right. Or, hey, let's try to fix that again. And so, one of the biggest tools is I had to, first of all, pray. I had to watch who I let pray for me. Watch this. I had to make sure that they PRAY and not PREY on me. And
mm.
there's a difference. There's a
Exactly.
difference. You
Exactly.
have to be able to decipher between those two, and then allow those people to get close enough. And I really, one of the biggest lessons is learning that I'm not superwoman. I can't do it all by myself. I would be remiss that DC5 or J. Gilbert Ministries is just Jennifer Gilbert. No, we have our entire team that help us to do everything that we do. And so in that, they hold me accountable. There's that word again, and I hold them accountable as well.
Wow, wow. I love it. I love it. Now, you possess an ultimate gift within that goes beyond yourself. Will you share with us what that gift is and the purpose behind it?
Um, I have many gifts. One of I called it the gift of rebranding. Um, I am not a one person, one man show, if you would,
Mhm.
but God has allowed me to do so many different things that I can't get bored with my own life. Like
Right, right.
sometimes I need help to help me remember, like, okay, who am I right now? You have the Christian comedian Jennifer. Then you have a Dr. Jennifer Gilbert, that's the smart one. And then, you have Lolo, that's like real ghetto. And then, you have the prophetic. And then you have the singer, and you have the dancer, you have the mom, you have the grandma. There's so many labels. And so I believe that in my ability, one of my greatest gifts is to be able to multitask within myself. The
Right.
Paul said it best. He said, I became all things to all men, that somebody at the end of the day is gonna get saved. So, if you got the super save, hey, I can meet you there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
got
yeah.
those that's down in the ghetto, I got you there. Like, where we going? How we gonna do this? Either way it go, you gonna get right today.
Oh, that's right. I know that's right. Now you embarked upon your work as a published author. Can you tell us about that and share with us uh, uh, all that's involved in there?
Okay. Well, I first started. I first published my own book when I went to doctoral school for my first doctorate degree, which was PhD in Christian education. And
Mm-hmm.
so we were at the end of the road, and they gave us a choice. They said either you can write a normal dissertation, which involves research and all that, or you can just write a book. But even in the book, you have to find a problem, if you would, and then you have to fix it. And so I wrote the book called Church and Ain't Easy. And basically, what I did is I took people that from every day, every walk of life, and
Mm-hmm.
said, okay, so now that you're saved, that's great, but life don't begin there. Life don't end there. Like that's not okay, I'm good. There's
Mm-hmm.
so much more to go. Now we walk through how to find a church, how to become active in the church, what to look for when, don't get involved in the emotion of joining a church. You know what I mean? When you go and you have a seat and sit down with the pastor, you're interviewing him or her to see, do you want to be a part of their ministry, just like they're interviewing you to see where would you fit in their cosmos, if you would.
Right.
And so that book won 3 awards before it even hit the shelf.
Wow.
And I was
Congratulations.
like, oh my God, like, oh, somebody wants to hear what I got to say, right? And so after that, what I did is I told the Lord, I said, okay, every year for the rest of my life, I want to write one book every year.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that every year. And then I was, when I started DDV 365 last year, I told the ladies and the men, I said, hey, listen, what I'm going to do is I want you to articulate your pain. I want you to begin to pursue your power by writing your own book, because writing is very cathartic. I don't care how much you hate it. And so when the coronavirus hit, I was like, okay, Lord, like I want these people to write, but I don't know how. I paid for my books to be published. And so I was like, I don't have the money, $8,000 to $10,000 for, to publish these thousands of people's books. And so I
Mm-hmm.
said, God, if you show me how to do it, then we'll make it happen. And he did. And so thus came J. Gilbert Ministries Publishing. And from there, we have published so many survivors of domestic violence. They are putting their story in books, some of them in the form of poetry, some of them in the form of just writing about their life, some of them is the tell-all. And to see the healing come, even in the midst of a pandemic, was one of the most amazing things that I've ever seen in my life. Like, it's amazing.
Wow. Wow.
You know what? Those people, they're gonna make me feel real special in a minute.
You are special. Well, there's a musical side of you, and we're going to come back to that after this small interlude, which is actually
Okay.
you. So, everyone, this is J. Gilbert Ministries presenting Jennifer Gilbert in Can I Just Be Me?
the days when life seemed so simple, no expectations, life never even made me tremble. But there was a big void in my life that I thought I could feel with the drugs, sex, men, and the money. But that life soon called me so much pain, not to mention the shame. But there was nobody else but me to blame. Glad to know someone was praying just for me. So glad they really cared. And because of them, the story doesn't end there. Can I just be me? So glad he came and filled the void in me. Can I just be me? God's love came down and filled those burning me. Can I just be me? Through the hurt and the pain I found I gotta be. Can I just be me? The guilt and the shame I feel the need to be. Can I just be me? Wanna be the ones who stand and pray for me. Can I just be me? I was but now I'm fine. Can I just be me? I've done all I can say. Can I just be me? I am so glad I'm in my heavenly Father. He held me so close just when I needed him the most. And when I felt all hope for me was all gone, when men turned their backs on me, he stood right there next to me. That's why I love him. No one can love me like he do. He's my number one. But I'm glad to share my God with you. His love so big and his arms stretched out so wide. Can't help but love him. He's always there by my side. Come on and give your life to him. Yes, today, no matter what they say, I know God will make it up. Okay. Can I just be me? I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Can I just be me? Gotta be who God created me to be. Can I just be me? I'm a child of God, but also I can be. Can I just be me? Make me simply and so unreal. Can I just be me? Can't let nobody come in me. Can I just be me? I know you, yes for you. Can I just be me? That's all I ask is for you. Can I just be me?
Now that was J. Gilbert Ministries presenting our guest, Jennifer Gilbert. Can I just be me? Now, being a musical art gospel artist, what inspires you to write this particular song, and what message was you intending to send out to your listeners?
That was a song that I wrote very early in my solo career. For many years, I sung background for a lot of major artists. And so what I had found growing up in church is that I was never really able to just be myself. Like nobody ever understood me. One, because I was a tag kid. I was like, my brain was always going 10,000 miles per hour. And I always had questions on top of questions on top of questions. And then people thought that I was being condescending, or they thought that I was questioning their, their fortitude. And it was never that. It was just, I just wanted to know. And so I wrote the song, Can I Just Be Me? Because at the end of the day, that's all I want to be. I'm my own competition. I'm my own worst critic. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's just Jennifer. That's all I want to do. I just want to be me. Whatever that means. If it's the comedian, if it's the preacher, if it's the prophet, if it's whatever it is, can I just be me? And at the end of the day, but one of the greatest things that I learned, Spicy, again, like I said, that was very early in my career, when I wrote Church and Ain't Easy, they actually came out as a collective effort. But as I grew in the faith, then I wrote the next book, which was called And Deliver Us from People. So in those two works in itself, it showed an evolution of me, because there was, can I just be me? And then after a while, I got to a point, I'm not going to ask you, can I be me? I'm just going to tell you who I am, and you're going to accept it or you're not. That causes growth, and it causes evolution. And even in that helped me to come out, or to get the fortitude and the strength to come out of the domestic violence situations.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna give a shout out to Olivia King. Thank you, lady. Thank you for tuning in. Cassandra Bain, congratulations. I want to give a shout out to her, especially. She won the best R&B female artist. Yay. We also have tuning in Akita McClure. She says she is amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, we love her. We love her. Ray Sorrell, he says that is great. Well, he said great title. He loves the title of the book. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in.
Right. Thank you.
Also, Raymond Dunn, thank you for tuning in. Now, J. Gilbert Ministries consists of so much, from your published book to the gospel music. Can you share with us the other gifts the company consists of and offers, including your latest venture that's designed to spearhead domestic violence campaign?
Sure. I can try, because it's so many things. J. Gilbert Ministry is comprised of, we have a Christian comedian company where we basically take a lot of Christian comedians and we tour. We nearly tour every year.
Oh, wow.
So we have the Christian comedy. We have the publishing company where we publish various books. We also have, we do plays. We write plays, and we're also in plays, and then we produce plays. So a lot of theatricals in there. We also do music, theater, books. We write, we design, do a lot of graphic arts. I also have an educational consultation company. And then on top of there, did I miss something? Because you did a lot of good homework, lady.
I've always loved research. So I'm just like going on it. My mom would say that it had something to do with me because I used to want to be a private investigator. So I don't know. I just love digging. But now you have
But we also
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Now you also have something called DDV 365.
Yes. Demolishing Domestic Violence 365. And what that is, last year I wrote a book in 2018. I took a pause in writing books because I was working a double doctorate at the time. And anybody who's been for their doctorate know you don't have a whole lot of time for anything in life. So in 2018, I put out 2017, I put out 5 books and 2 CDs to catch up with my own personal growth. And so I had wrote a book, the first book about my life in its entirety up to that point. And in that book, I talked about my survival of cancer, domestic violence, church hurt. I mean, so many different things. And so I had told the Lord in 2019, I wanted to do something different, something that I hadn't done. I wanted to enter into new territory. And so he told me, he said, okay, that's what you want, right? And I was like, yeah, Lord, you heard me, And so right about September, he said, he reminded me of what I had said. And so he said, I want you to put a voice. It's great to put something in a book and to pass it off. But let's be honest, how many people actually read? And so he said, now I want you to put a face and a voice to domestic violence. And I want you to talk about in great detail what it is that you went through with your domestic violence. And I was like, I thought it was the devil. I was like, the devil is a lie. I'm not putting my business out there. And so literally I reached out to a lot of my media friends and I was like, hey, this is the charge that the Lord gave me. Can you help me? even though I had my own radio show, my own TV show, all this other stuff at the same time. And everybody was just opening up their arms. And so thus DDV, it was first just demolishing domestic violence. I wanted to do a month. That was it. And we got a TV show, we got the radio show, we got all of these things that we were doing. And at the end of the month, I was like so super excited, like, oh, we're done. And my entire team was like, no, you can't. Like, people are depending on you. We went to legislation and we got bills passed to where people we started off with the Harris County, where if a woman or a man is a victim of domestic violence, they actually get 14 paid days off. And that came through legislation of DDV 365. So we just continue. That's where 365 came on, where we started to do it year round. And it literally took a life of its own. And now we're over 3,000 people, men, women, boys, and girls that we have saved from domestic violence. And it's exhausting, but we're here.
And also, it was actually birthed October of 2019, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And we have to be careful about our prayers because, we started it, like I said, I wanted to do it just for 1 month. I talked to my team, got the legislation, partnered with, a lot of major churches and stuff like that. And then we didn't know, of course, that we were going to go into a pandemic. So by the time the pandemic came, we had already rescued over 1,500 people. So when the pandemic came, then literally it was like out of the woodworks, and it had gotten so bad to where I had become like the chaplain at a lot of various outreach ministries, and I had to partner with other domestic violence organizations to help me because I literally couldn't do it by myself. It literally was a snowball effect.
Right. Wow. Now, under the DDV 365, there are 3 different divisions. Can you tell us what those are? And under those divisions, what are all the efforts which make up DDV 365?
Yes, DDV 365 is comprised of 3 different divisions. The first thing that we do is we rescue you. That's basically the basic, where you call and say, hey, this is what we're going through. And in the beginning, I really thought that I was Superwoman, and I was going out, I was rescuing people like I was invincible, right? But then it had literally gotten way too big. I couldn't fit all these people in my car. We did a major sex trafficking sting that we didn't even know it was a sex trafficking sting. It was like we saved 85 people in that particular one rescue. So after we rescue them, then we rehabilitate them. We get them legal advice. We get them finances. We get them all kind of community support. We help find housing and things of that nature. We literally build them back up, not only just in financially, but we also build them up spiritually. We build them up mentally. We build them back up emotionally. I authored an exit plan. Before you get out, make sure you have all of these things, insurance documents, your identification, all of these things. Put it in a bag and hide it away. An extra dose of medication or extra set of medication. Those things. And then once you get out, then I authored what we call the Now What plan. And that's a part of the rehabilitation. Now that you're out, okay, great job. But the work begins now. Because it's easy to get out, but it's the staying out that makes the difference. Because if we don't rehabilitate them, then first of all, the Bible says that we have to no longer be conformed to this world, but be renewing our mind, right? And so that's what we want to do. We want to renew their mind and teach them that you're better than this, girl. You're better than this. You can make it. You can do it without him, without her. And then after that, once we build them up, and that's about a 3 to 4 month process where we're with them side by side. Then we give them into the give back phase, right?
Right.
And that's the full, we call it the full circle phase. And so right before the pandemic, the rescuees that we got in October, November, December, we, cleaned them up, got them together, and we did a Pop and Purple fashion show where we
Mm.
took these men and women who were domestic violence survivors, and we, got them new clothes, we got them new hair, and all of that great stuff. And then we had them go out and share. And as a result of that, 97 women and men came and gave their life to Christ just from that effort. So that's what it's all about for us. Those three divisions. We want to get you out, we want to keep you out, and then we want to show you how to go out and help somebody else.
Wow. Love it, love it, love it. Now, Nikita says she does thing.
Right. But I still found time to come and see my sister, though, all the way Antonio for her birthday party and her record. That's actually where I met you at.
See, that's love, though. That's love. And then Sanchez, aka Ches Hill, says blessings, everyone. Nikita says Spicy always does good research before her interviews. Laugh out loud. Yeah, she know I love doing interview. But that's what some people, when they come on, they don't understand. I can't just do your stuff in one day and then I got to start the show. I take a whole week. I'm researching, I'm looking, I'm digging, and I got to make sure I get everything together and in order so that we can have a good show.
Right.
Hello, Angela Fraser. Yes, the Divine One is watching. Alton Lee, Roxanne Adams. She says, hello, amazing. Alton Lee says, I like you, Queen. Thank y'all for tuning in. Now, for one seeking out to have their story or notes published into a book, how can J. Gilbert Ministries assist them with that?
You can always go to our website. We're always publishing. Go to our website, jgilbertministries.com. And there's a contact form that you can fill out there. We do a simple consultation. I give you my expectations. I don't do those, what we call lackadaisical people, where you want to take 9 months to write a book. Normally, books are, when they come to J. Gilbert Ministries, you're out and published within 3 weeks.
Oh, wow. That is fast.
When you come, you have to come with that mindset. And that's all a part of the consultation process. I tell you, hey, this is what we do. Where are you in this, in the process? If you're just now writing, I'm a little bit more lenient. But if you're like, girl, I always wanted to write a book. I got this great stuff. Then it's like, okay, let's get this moving. And that's what it is. But yes, you can go to jgilbertministries.com and fill out the query form, and we'll get right back to you.
Okay.
Okay. You also have DDV TV, Realistic Speaking Show, Facebook Live, and Realistically Speaking with Dr. Jennifer Gilbert and Friends radio show.
Right.
Can you tell us about that?
Girl. Let me just preface it by saying COVID was actually a blessing for me, because I did not realize how much I was going until I had stopped. And then it was like, oh my God. And I have everything programmed in my phone to remind me where I'm supposed to be, when I'm supposed to be. And then I have my assistant who's always there and helping me. So, but yeah, we had DDB 365 radio. We also had DDB 365 TV. Dr. Sugar Trask was our producer for the TV show. And then OMP Productions was our producer for the radio show. We haven't done much, of course, since COVID, because we've been so busy with the domestic violence, just rescuing people and getting their minds back together. It took on a whole other life, because normally we can take them out of the situation and we can, do something with them to divert their attention from what they're going through. But when COVID came, we had to stop and just helping deal because they couldn't run, they couldn't go anywhere, they couldn't do
Right.
anything. So we could get them out, but then it came to a point where we couldn't even get them. We couldn't take them to shelters because shelters were closed, or it was just a lot. So
Yeah.
what we're doing, we're getting ready for 2021, where we're going to bring out some really great things for J. Gilbert Ministries as far as the TV and the radio is concerned. Yes.
Okay. Great, great. I love it. I love it. Now, we're going to go here. You also have a paper magazine called DDV 365 Magazine. Can you fill us in about that?
Yes.
And the purpose?
Yes. Yes. DDV 365 Magazine is that's one of my little babies. And I call it little babies because it's a mini size magazine. And what we do, we do it every quarter. And in every issue, it's something different. And so everything, all of the proceeds go towards DDV 365. That's what we use to help us rehabilitate the women to purchase when they need clothes and things of that nature. So none of this comes to my pocket. It all goes to DDV 365. But what we do, it's another opportunity for women and men to give back. We had the first issue, we just kind of spotlighted all of the women who were in the Pop and Purple fashion show. And it was amazing. We had men and women in the show. We had children in the show. And then the second issue was when COVID hit. What are you doing? Who are you? What are you finding out? And just giving them more inspiration. We also commemorated people who had lost their lives as a result of domestic violence. And then the third one, we spotlighted not all of them, but a lot of the authors who purchased or who published their books from domestic violence. We spotlighted them in the third magazine. And then we have the fourth magazine coming up. And I'm behind the curve, but don't tell nobody. But the fourth issue is getting ready to come up. And this one, I want to spotlight every person that I know of, or if you know of anybody who had to find a way to reinvent themselves through the COVID. I started a book called The Seasons of Separation.
Oh, I like that title.
And I believe that's COVID was. It was a season of separation. It separated the boys from the men, right? The boys is the ones that sitting there playing video games. The men are sitting there saying, what do I have to do to make sure that my family is provided for? It also separated the girls from the women, because if you couldn't cook during COVID, we might have had a problem, right? It wasn't no fast food queens during that time because you were afraid to eat out. But more than that, I believe it also separated the business people from the entrepreneurs. Right?
Sure
because a business is like, you know what? Okay, I write books. That's all I do. Okay, well, ain't nobody buying no books right now. So what you gonna do to survive? And so then it's, now I'm going to publish books, or I'm going to consult, or I'm going to do something. And so many people had to step outside of their comfort zone to become something that they watched did not even know that they were. Right? You had, what was it, Ford Motor Company? They're always making cars. They even had to, and they started having to make PPEs. Why? So that they could survive. So we wanted to spotlight all of these people who had to reinvent themselves to become something else and to do something that they never knew or maybe never thought that they would ever have to do. And that's what the magazine is for, including the survivors, because a lot of the survivors, because the demand was so big for us, a lot of the survivors had to now become rescuers to help me to get the other people out. You know what I mean? And so it was a reinvention for them. They had to share their story right there on the spot and be like, girl, I did that. I've been there. Don't feel like that. It ain't that serious. It ain't that good. Whatever the case may be. But just reinventing yourself to be all that God called you to be in this season.
We're going to say hello, hello, Roxanne Adam, Alton Lee. Thank you for tuning in. Thomas Aries Jr. and my Tisha Chef. She's watching us right now. Thank y'all for tuning in. We're going to get into some questions that some people won't know that me and you both probably get an answer towards. If y'all have any questions or comments, the lines are open 512-668-2814. But before we go there, we're going to go to Gilbert Ministry presenting Jennifer Gilbert, and you have no clue.
You think you know my story, but you don't have a clue. You look at where I am now, don't know what I've been through. You think you know my story, but you don't have a clue. You think you know my story, yeah. You think you know my story. You think you know me well, yeah. You see all the great accolades. You think all things are going so well, but if you only take the time to see all the things I've been through, yeah. The people who left, the stories they tell, they said I have changed. They don't know me that well. Oh no! You think you know my story, but you don't have a clue. You look at where I am now, don't know what I've been through. You think you know my story, but you don't have a clue. You think you know my story, yeah. I call them my friends, I receive them as family. I told them I love them, they even responded. Then they walked away and called me names and tried to steal the Father's glory. Oh no, they can't do that. They said for me they would always be there. They said for me and my interest they had, but they lied to me. Oh Jesus, help me, Father, let the healing begin. You think you know my story, but you don't have a clue. You look at where I am now, don't know what I've been through. You think you know my story, but you don't have a clue. You think you know my story, yeah. You think you know my story, but you don't have a clue. There's much more to me than I am now. Don't know what I've been. You think you know my story, but you don't have a clue. You think you know my story, yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. That was Gilbert Ministries presenting Jennifer Gilbert, Dr. Jennifer Gilbert, which is right before us, and you have no clue. That was beautiful.
No.
Can you share with everybody everything that was going through your mind when you thought about writing this song?
Wow, that song was actually my emancipation.
Okay.
There were several instances where I was in a domestic violence situation, and the last time, one of the last times, I say next to the last time that I was in the situation, the church people told me that I had to stay in the marriage because God didn't honor divorce, and it was not God's will for me to be divorced and things of that nature. And so people would love to hear me sing, and they would love to hear me preach, and they would love to see me minister, but they never understood the magnitude of my pain. And I believe, again, we go back to that. There's, there's perseverance, there's power in your perseverance. And because I was able to persevere, and because I was transparent, and because I was honest, I was able to reach more people than when I was staying in the situation and I was hiding myself. And so when people would be, oh my God, I just want to be, I want to be like you. You inspire me. You want to do this. And I always refer them back to that song. Listen to that song. You have to think about the people who left, the people who talk about you, the people who lie on you, people
Right.
who make up all, sorts of evil. There's so much more to me than what you see.
Right. 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 That is beautiful. Now we're gonna get ready to answer some questions. If y'all have any comments or questions, please call in 512-668-2814. If you want to make a comment towards today's show or talk to Mrs. Dr. Jennifer Gilbert, I get it together. But okay, now we're gonna do
Not Mrs. No.
no, no. Doctor. Okay.
Right.
Now in the world today, there's a lot of people who one say victimize the victim versus victimizing the abuser. Even in the legal system, which is one of the reasons why ones are silent about their abuse. What input do you have on that? And how could you help them?
I believe that there are so many things. One of the things that I have learned through DDV 365 is that there's always a backstory. People don't just wake up one day and decide, I'm going to beat you up, right? There has to be, most times, not every time, but sometimes that's what they were exposed to. That's how they learned how to express love. That's what they viewed, what they saw as love. That was normal to them. Dysfunction was functional to them. And so what we have to look at is that even though, and I'm not in any way trying to, eradicate the abuse, but oftentimes the abuser was abused themselves. And it may not have been physical, but it could have been in another way. And so that's their way of expressing love. I'm showing you that I care. That's why they say things like, you're making me do this. If I didn't do this, I wouldn't, how would you know that I loved you? It goes back to, I remember when I was a kid, my mama would say, I'm doing this because I love you. Right? When I was getting that whooping because I did something I
Oh
wasn't
yeah.
supposed to, right? I'm doing this because I love you. And so for many years, because I got that so much, not that I was a bad kid, but because my mother was abused. And so then she abused me. And then she would say, I'm doing this because I loved you. So when I started to explore relationships, I felt like, well, if you don't hit me, you don't love me. Right.
Right.
And
Right.
so in that, it became a cycle of abuse. And I had to just make up in my mind that I'm not going to do this to my children. And my children have decided they're not going to do it to theirs. But it has to come again with the retraining of your mind. And so the victimization really is on both ends. But the question is who's going to be the bigger person to get out of it? Who's going to
Exactly.
be the bigger person to say enough is enough? Who's going to be the big person to say that this stops here with me? Period.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay. Now, my breaking point in order to leave my abuser was my children. What was your breaking point to where you decided enough was enough?
The breaking point for me was when I was battling cancer at the time, and I was literally dead. Um, I didn't know it. Nobody in my family had cancer. I was the first person in my family diagnosed with cancer. So I had nobody to really lean on to, what is this? What is that? And so, I found out that I had colon cancer. And I was in an abusive relationship. I didn't recognize it to be such because it was different, right? Now I'm gonna mess some real people up. It was actually in a relationship that I shouldn't have no business being in a home. And I thought that, well, it's a woman, so she's not gonna hurt me like these men have, right? If we just gonna be honest and be transparent with it. Well, in the middle of the night, the polyp busted after I was taking the chemo pills. And I woke up, and the only thing that I could liken that pain to was childbirth. And so, as you know, when you have children and your water break, the first thing you do is, you just start breathing, right?
Mhm.
And so, she was like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, "I don't know, but it hurts." And so she said, "Well, can you turn your head the other way because your breath stinks?" And so I threw myself out of the bed, crawled to the bathroom, bled out in the bathroom floor. And this
Mm.
person never got up out of the bed to come and check on me. I sat there and I bled out, and I said to God at that point, I said, number one, there's two things that I promised God. I said, number one, God, if you get me out of this situation, I'll never be with another woman again, because I know that
Mhm.
this is not your will for me. I can't speak for anybody else, but my
Right.
relationship with you is not working, right?
Right.
Number two, I say, God, if you get me, you save me through this, then not only am I never going to get into an abusive relationship again, but I'm going to help other people not get into relationships again. This was way back in 2005.
Mm.
And so that was the breaking point for me. My daughter had just had my grandson. He wasn't even a month or two, or I think he may have been like 3 months old. Um,
Mm.
and so that was my new will for living, because my kids were grown and they were gone. All I knew was to be a mom, to be somebody's girlfriend, to be somebody's wife, somebody's something. And now everybody's gone away. They didn't need me. And so now I have this new purpose, this new thing that needed me so bad. And
Mm.
my grandson, Ethan, is the one who made me not only fight for my life to get out of that domestic abuse, but also fight for my life to get past, through, and over not COVID, cancer.
Mm. Oh wow. We are really proud of you. Proud of you.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, what keys can you offer to ones in an abusive relationship that feels there's no exit from the situation?
There's always an exit. There's always an exit. And I'm going to look directly into the camera and say that there's always an exit. And the first thing to do is to start with a plan. The exit plan is to make sure, number one, that you begin to exit. First of all, you have to exit your mind. When you exit in your mind, then your body will follow, right? So the first thing that you need to do is come up and make up in your mind that, you know what, today is the last day. This is the last straw. It's time for me to change. It's time for me to gird up my loins. It's time for me to move on. I'm the head and not the tail. I'm above and not beneath. God did not mean for me to be this. This is not his will for my life. He said that he came that I may have life and have it more abundantly. So once you embrace that abundant life, realize that there is a plan and there is a purpose for your life. Then I want you to go in and I want you to begin to make an exit plan. You don't go to your family members that your abuser knows. You need to go to somebody that they'll least expect. You begin to communicate with that person and that person only. And once you get to that communication line, then you begin to pack clothes a little bit at a time. You begin to get medication a little bit at a time, get an extra dose. Go to your doctor, tell your doctor, this is what I'm going through. They will help you to get out. Once they help you get out, they're going to give you extra medication. Then on top of that, they're probably going to go ahead and report it. If you don't want to report it, then what you need to do is you begin to start gathering your documents, your identification, your social security card. You need to start getting your medical records, life insurance policies. If this has ever happened before, every time that it happens, you need to start taking photographs of yourself, saving those photographs in your phone, emailing them to that friend that you're going to escape to. There's so many things, but there's always a plan. There's always a purpose. And you are better than this. You're greater than this. God has greater purpose. God has greater value. God has great need of you, because you're going through that right now, such a time as this, for somebody that their life might be greater later.
Love it. Love it. Now, for the ones whom are oblivious to the red flags, can you share some of the signs that they should be aware of before entering or while in a relationship?
There's this thing that people always talk about. They talk about women's intuition, right? But I believe that men have intuition as well. anytime that someone talks to you in a demeaning way that makes you feel anything less than God's design for you, that's not a relationship for you. If the first thing that they often do, and this every case is different, but the red flags are always going to be the same. They may not come in this order, but they do happen, and they happen in this way. Number one, they try to isolate you. Oh, you don't need them. All you need is me. It's going to be me and you against the world. Nobody can come between us. I'm never going to let anything happen to you. No, anybody do this to you, you come and you tell me. You don't need nobody else. You don't need to go to church. You don't need your friends. You don't need your family. You don't need your children. You don't need this. All of that is an effort to go in and to isolate you and to make you feel like all that you need is them, right? Once they get you to that point, then they begin to abuse you, right? And they begin to watch this. Before that, they'll swoon you. That means they're lavishing you with all these gifts and all this greatness and all this love and attention, all this affection. Why? Because they want you to go and tell your friends and family, oh my God, he loves me. Oh my God, she loves me. Oh my God, everything is great. Everything is wonderful. He's the light of my life. She's the apple of my pie. She's the wind beneath my wings. He's the eagle and all of that stuff, right? And what that is it's making you go out and make them big, right? So that if and whenever you do go and share your abuse with whomever, they're not going to believe you because you have planted the seed that this person is so great. And so then now they've isolated you. They've swooned you into talking them up to be some great Superman or Superwoman. Now you're isolated. Nobody's going to believe you. They're going to tell you that you don't need nobody but them. They're going to try to control you in some way. The first thing that they do is they get into your head, right? And this is probably going to be a little bit more explicit. Sometimes when they get into your head, they get between your legs to get to your head. I hope that made sense to somebody. And I believe that's going to help somebody. They get between your legs to get into your head, and they make you feel like there's nothing and nothing, nobody is better than this. And then you become this disillusioned. You just begin to lose yourself. These are all red signs. They're all red flags for you that you will be aware as to what's going on. If they hit you once, they'll do it again. They'll do it. I don't care how much of rehabilitation it comes. I'm not saying that people cannot change, but these are the red flags that I want you to look for, that you'll know, hey, okay, this is the sign. And guess what? They may change and they may never hit anybody ever again. But do you want to be the sacrificial lamb? That's the question. Their answer should be no. So those are those 5 big flags. Number 1, they try to isolate you. Number 2, they try to swoon you, romanticize you, sex you up, do all of these so great things. Then they'll have your family and friends believing that you're crazy when you come and say, hey, he did this to me. And the first thing they're going to say is, oh, but I thought you said, okay, well, that was then and this is now. And after that, they make you feel like that that's all you need, that they're the only person that can help you. And the last one is they make you feel like it's your fault. Well, if you wouldn't have said that, then I wouldn't have did this. I understand cause and effect, and cause and effect does not work like that. So those are the 5 big flags that I always say look for.
Excellent. Betty Lewis says, excellent plan of action. Rosalie says, this is so on point. Okay, now, is there any way that someone can signal to a friend or a family member when in abusive situation?
Is there any way that they can what?
Signal.
That you can signal. First of all, and this is going to probably sound crazy, never blow anybody up to be something that they're not. Right? In other words, if I'm with Henry and Henry is so great to me, that there was this saying they used to say, what happens behind closed doors, stay behind closed doors, right? To a certain extent, that's true, right? Now, what you're going to do is you can send a flag. You can say, hey, this is what's going on. You have to find someone, number one, that they will never see. If I was in an abusive relationship, nobody knows that Spicy is my friend. So I'm gonna go to Spicy and say, hey, Spicy, this is what's going on. You don't want to go to your mom, you don't want to go to your dad, because if you ever leave, the first place that they're gonna look is at your parents' house, at your children's house, at your best friend's house. If you got to find an enemy, find somebody that you can trust and begin to tell them. The safety kit that I always tell my survivors to begin to pack with the medication and the life insurance and the health cards and all of those things. This is the place that you would go, because that's your plan of exit. So once they begin to see, even if this your abuser has disillusioned you to make you talk so great about them to other people that they don't believe you, when they start seeing you executing an exit plan, then they'll start to believe, okay, something's really going on. It's more than just, girl, he getting on my nerves. It's more than that, right? So we want to make sure that you find that person that you can trust.
Yes. Also, through the years, we have had little things to represent domestic violence, as in painting our one fingernail purple, saying that we're putting our finger on domestic violence. But a little thing that I just learned recently, being that everyone is now starting to do video chats or, doing little chat rooms, this is for everyone to pay attention to, because just like I'm talking to you, you're describing some, I'm asking you some. I do like this. I'm in danger. That's a way to signal. So is it easier, just like you were talking, did I do like this? And all it is the thumb going across and the four fingers going down. That signals that you're in danger, you're being abused.
Right.
So, we have to get that word out. So, because there are times to where, especially now, the abusers don't have no way out. They are always around them, even at doctor's appointments. Their abusers are right there with the victim. So it's got to be a way to signal. Even if you're at a doctor's office, they have to, I was speaking out to universities and stuff, but we have to find a way to where if they're right there, right behind me, that we can just put that finger up. That's a signal.
Right. Yeah. Yes. So, yes. And the universal sign for domestic violence is this right here. If you go, I see one person saying that you can go to the fire station, which is a safe place, hospitals, shelters. You can also go there. If you go to a doctor's office, this is the national sign for domestic violence, so that they'll know that something is going on. And you can do this very discreetly. I don't know if you can see me, but you can do this very discreetly right here in the middle of your chest. And that lets them know, they're trained to know that means that something is going on. And then what they'll do normally is they'll immediately take you to triage, which is where they take your temperature and all that stuff. The great thing, the blessing about COVID right now is that nobody is allowed to go in with you. Right. And so that's one of the great things that you can do now.
Okay. Thank you. Now, Rosalie Davis says, yes, my ex always knew where to go for me. Tamika Cooper, finding a safe place is hard, but even if you go to a fire station. She also said, my ex looked for me at my children's school. I've been there as well.
Right.
And so I appreciate you sharing that with us. What is the steps to process in order to escape from the environment of abuse safely? I know you mentioned some of them earlier.
The exit plan is the biggest thing. That's something that is available on our website. You can go there and it lists all of the things that you don't even think about, birth certificates, things like that. You don't think about it because you're such in a panic. you just want to, walk out the door, or you just want to pack up your kids and go, and you don't think about those vital documents. And the whole point and purpose of having an action plan or an exit plan is so that you don't have to go back. Because watch this, if you are what do you call it, a victim of domestic violence, and you leave without your birth certificate, without your health insurance, without your medication, the police they don't get involved in saying, look here, man, just let her come get her let her come get her purse, or let her come get her birth certificate. You are now having to enter back into that danger
Exactly.
without support. And then, only God knows what'll happen when you go back. Because now, and one thing that I will say in this last year and some, that the abusers have become cognizant of, is their plan, their schedule. I know he leaves at 6:45 to go work. I know he comes home at 5:45, right? And so they're going to break their schedule to try to catch you to come into their house. So you have to be aware of those things. So an action plan is the vital thing that you need to have. Make sure that you have everything vital that you need when you make your exit, so you don't have to enter back in.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Once someone has escaped from abuse, what will be the next piece of advice can you offer them in order to heal?
Number one, to seek out an organization such as DDB 365, or there's a plethora of other ones. I just can only speak to the due diligence that DDB 365 offers, where we go and we seek to rehabilitate you, to transform your way of thinking. The first thing after you get out is we take them and we get them a restraining order. Not a protective order, but a restraining order. Once we get that, then if you're married, we begin the filing for the divorce. We seek legal aid for them. We find them shelters. We take them where they can get state resources, so that they can begin to start building their life, because there's healing in the building. If as long as you're building and you're doing something and you're seeing yourself making process or progress outside of the process of abuse, then you're less likely to go back. 90% of the men and women who return back to domestic violence is because they don't see themselves making any progress, right? They've already made you feel like you can't live without them. They've already made you feel like ain't nobody else gonna want you, because whatever. They've done all of this mind sweeping for you. So the biggest thing is to, first of all, transform your mind, get into all of the legalities of it, make it official, and then just start building.
Yes, yes. Now, I'm going to allow you the window of opportunity to give your word, so you could give a word of nutrition to the ones who is dealing with abuse, want to escape, or know someone who urgently needs help. Then you can inform our viewers where they can follow you, contact you, find your book or CD if they're interested in purchasing, or whatever resources you have. So everyone, I give you Dr. Jennifer Gilbert.
Hi, friends. It's me again. I just want to tell you that, first of all, God loves you, and so do I. And I mean that from my heart. It's not a cliche. It's not something that I just want to, say for ratings or anything of that nature. But I need you to know that God sees you to be much more than you see yourself to be. If you find yourself in a domestic abuse situation, and watch this, domestic abuse does not just have to be your husband or your wife. You can be domestically abused inside of the church. You can be domestically abused inside of a friendship, inside of a relationship. Anything that makes you feel less than God has designed for you to be. That's not God's will for your life. I want you to get out. I want you to find help. I want you to realize realize that the Bible says that he has nothing but good thoughts towards you, and he has nothing but great plans for you. And I want you to seek after that, because if you seek after the gift giver, then the gifts will come. And so I want you to believe in yourself. I want you to believe that you are the head and not the tail. I want you to believe that you're above and not beneath. I want you to believe that eyes have not seen and ears have not heard, neither has it entered into the heart of man the thing that God has in store for you. And what you have to do, first of all, is free yourself from all toxicity. Anything that is not like God that's in your life, I don't care what it is, I demand, I command, I rebuke, ask you now, get out. Get out of that situation. And listen, I need you to find you a friend. I don't care how the relationship has been. I need you to find you a friend that you can reach out to, that you can say, hey, this is what's happening to me. If you can't find a friend, I dare you to go to jgilbertministries.com. That website is on lock all hours of the day, 24/7. There's phone numbers there, there's emails there, there's contacts there. Any member of my team, they all have my direct contact information. And we have a plethora of resources internationally. DDB 365 is not just a Texas thing, it's not just a Houston thing, it's not just a inside of the borders of the U.S. thing. We have saved 11 souls outside of the U.S. borders. And so we're willing to do that. We're very well connected. We believe that God has placed us and divinely orchestrated that we can connect with people that will help us to help you. If you would just take the first step and say, you know what, today enough is enough. We'll be there. We'll help you. We'll pray you through it. We'll love you through it. We'll pull you through it. And then once you're done with that, then I dare you to not only train yourself to think better, to think higher, to love yourself better, to be more for yourself than you are for anybody else. Because remember, you need to make sure that your cup is full first before you can help anybody else. So once you get out and once we get you rehabilitated, what I want you to do is I want you to reach out and help somebody else. I want you to be the conduit that frees somebody else from their bondage. All right. If you have any questions, if you have any information, anything that you want to say to Dr. Jennifer Gilbert, Jennifer J. Gilbert Ministries, whomever you know me to be, first of all, I want to thank you all for your support. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to go to jgilbertministries.com, which is our website. You can find out everything about us. You can see our brand ambassador, Ms. Tamika Cooper. You can see all of the many entities that we have. Anything that you need, J. Gilbert Ministries is there. And we desire to help you. We desire to be a blessing. We want to be a blessing because we are blessed to be a blessing. So go to jgilbertministries.com. You can find not only just my books, but the books of many other authors that we have already published, many other survivors that have come out and who have shared their stories, that others may be blessed, that others may be helped. I want you to go to jgilbertministries.com.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. You have been a huge nutrition. Everybody should be full off of you today. You have really blessed us.
Amen.
And I truly enjoyed you coming on. Thank you so much. This is going to be great. And they have all the information. Everyone, thank y'all for tuning in. We are still going to continue on with Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Starting next week, we will have Domestic Violence Awareness. The title will be Wounds Within My Soul. Survivor, Lovely Vibes with Jay Shanique's Poetry Corner, and Rosalie Davis with Envision Beauty will be in the house 7 p.m. next Thursday. Thank y'all for tuning in. Much love, and hope to see y'all next week.